Greetings and salutations, fellow moviegoers who don't like opening weekend. It is I, Eric J. Chucky, joined as always by the boy.
Hey.
This is the Two Nerds Podcast, and before we get into what we're talking about today, which is an utter mystery to anyone listening to this podcast, I'm sure, there's a ticker at the bottom of the screen. The information in the ticker describes the links you can find in the link tree in the description. If you go there, you can buy my books. Oh, they're so good. If you're a fan of the game MeChat, the main character of my books, I guess, is also in MeChat. This is news to me, inventor of the character. It's not really him, but...
It's the same name and he looks real similar.
Looks real similar, like Bishified, but then shaven, and that's about it. Anyway, buy my books. Support us on Patreon. It makes you cool like Rob, a guy from Ohio, and Passion Killer 711. That's at the $1 tier. That's $1 a month, man. $5 a month, you get episodes of Journey of Wrestling a week early. And we keep talking about a mysterious $10 tier.
What could that possibly be?
What could that possibly be? I hope it's something violent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone loves violence. Speaking of violence, superhero movie.
Yeah. Superhero movies are violently good.
Hey, that's definitely the segue I was going for.
Oh.
No, it wasn't. It was a different segue.
Oh, no. Okay. I'm sorry. Should I edit the podcast? Do you want to do a better segue?
No, I liked yours.
Okay. Thanks.
I don't know what this bit he's doing is.
I don't know. I'm a little, weirdly tired. Okay, can I get real talk with you guys? Skip ahead by about 30 seconds if you don't want to hear this shit. Have you ever, used the restroom, and it's not even that much of an eventful restroom visit? I will say that nothing dramatic happened in the restroom, but you exit, and it's like you've come out the wrong door of a restaurant, and you're wandering in the wrong direction for an hour, and you're like, where am I? What?
My life is different now.
Yeah, it's different. I don't understand what happened. There was no reason for that transition, and yet here we are.
So let's talk about Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, let's do that.
It is spoiler-free review.
Yeah, I mean, we do these a little later because, God, I hate people. I got an M&M thrown at me.
I would rather wait and avoid spoilers as best I can and then see a movie several weeks after it comes out if the theater's empty when I go there, as opposed to trying to squeeze my fat nerd ass in with all the other fat nerds and children who are going to be there on opening weekend.
There were 6 people in that theater and I still had an M&M thrown at my titty. Could have been a Skittle. Felt like an M&M.
Like that you were able to tit gauge Eminem.
Yeah. Maybe it was because the commercial for the M&Ms came right before it, and I was just in that mindset.
Maybe the commercials went through crossing the streams.
Oh, jeez. Wow, that's marketing. I have a fucking M&M. Yeet. Yeah, spoiler-free review of Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Wow.
Okay, I'll start.
You do it, yeah.
This is not a spoiler because presumably you are a functioning human being and are aware of the world. This movie's fucking sad. Its primary emotion is sadness. It is a sad movie. It is a good movie. It is a well-made movie. It is an interesting movie with a lot of cool things that happen in it. It is a sad movie first and foremost, for very good and valid reasons. But I am warning you, if unlike me, who kind of knew this was going to be what we were doing going in, if you somehow have not cottoned on to the fact that this is going to be a very sad fucking movie, I am warning you, this is going to be a very sad fucking movie.
Yeah, I think that's good. I mean, I'm going to give my response and then bridge into the proper review. So after you feel like you've gotten the summation, we're probably going to talk shit. So, mute the podcast, like, comment, subscribe. It really helps the channel out. It actually honestly does. It boosts us up in algae rhythm. And he gives us to all the YouTube viewers so we can be famous and not people named Sneak Snag.
He's throwing out jokes from the Discord.
Yeah.
You can join the Discord.
Yeah.
And you'll get these jokes.
Yeah, it's good shit. Anyway, I think this is one of the best MCU films. Hard stop. I think it's 3 times better than the original. I think it's the biggest return to the MCU that we've had since Endgame. And that's a very specific statement, even though it sounds kind of broad. That's not me trying to throw the other movies under the bus. I loved Thor Love and Thunder, for example. But it was Thor Love and Thunder. It was a Taika Waititi Thor movie.
This is an MCU movie.
Yeah.
There's a difference, and you can feel it.
Yeah.
It has the vibe.
Yep. Even in being a more somber film.
Sad movie.
You say sad movie, and I think of the way Ben Affleck reacted to Justice League. I don't think it's a sad movie.
It's a movie that made me sad, at the very least.
Well, it tugs at the heartstrings, and I think it's, for being a mainstream superhero movie, taking this much time and care to analyze the themes of loss and moving on from loss and processing grief and continuing despite those emotions is very bold.
To be clear, this is absolutely the movie that was going to get made, given the situation.
Sure.
It was never not gonna be this movie. This movie was always going to be a 3-hour eulogy for Chadwick Boseman. And that's not a bad thing. That's the movie they should have made. That's the movie they did make. But it did make me sad.
At the same time, given that that is what it is, they don't talk about him specifically as much as you might expect.
No, they talk about the...
They talk about the hole left by him.
Yeah, it is the narrative isn't about T'Challa. The narrative is about, you phrased it exactly right, the hole in people's hearts and souls that T'Challa left behind.
And honestly, ironically, one of the most powerful moments of the film was the opening logo. We've seen it before, the T'Challa tribute logo. They did it just after Chadwick Boseman passed away. This time they do it in silence.
Yeah.
And that really does a lot to go, okay, we've had our fun. We've had our previews. You saw Ant-Man. Doesn't that look fun? It's story time now.
Sit down. It's time for you to watch 3 hours of people crying in a camera.
I have to temper hyperbole for anyone who's watching this who hasn't seen the film, because as funny as it is, there is still action.
No, it is still a Marvel movie. There's still big fight scenes. There's still a couple jokes. Way fewer jokes than normal. There's still, a big climactic battle scene, super fight, somebody throws a helicopter.
Which is so much better than the one in Black Panther. That was the biggest criticism I had about the original Black Panther, was that ending fight scene.
The CGI was rough. It's not here. It looks good.
Well, it looks good, and just tonally, it's a lot better. It's a lot longer. There's more turns.
And, it was still big, well choreographed, interesting fight scenes, but the emotional content of the movie is people crying at a camera for 3 hours, or being real fucking pissed off at a camera, which honestly was good. I was really happy about that part.
So let's get into that. I was hoping that this movie was going to make me give a shit about Namor.
Yeah, traditionally, for context, if you aren't aware, you're not a long-time listener, White doesn't give a fuck about Namor. When Namor is a dumb asshole fucking Aquaman wannabe with wings on his feet, according to White.
I don't know, Aquaman wannabe. Spock wannabe.
Spockwaman.
Spockwaman. That's a good one. Have I used that before?
Nope.
Oh, damn. Kudos to you then.
But
it folds into my disinterest in the Fantastic Four. I think even a lot of Marvel properties I don't know much about, I have sort of a curiosity, and it's never been the case with them. And here we have Spockwaman in this film, and Fantastic Four looming on the horizon.
And I like the Fantastic Four and like Namor, so it was less make me care about Namor and more, please don't fuck up Namor. Please don't look. I understand you want to do your own thing. I understand you don't want to just have him be a weird, naked white man. That's understandable. That's a weird thing for him to be. Please don't fuck him up. Please get the core of the character right. And they did. He's a huge dick face. He is a huge, scheming, arrogant asshole. And that is exactly who Namor is supposed to be. Kudos, good job.
I really enjoyed how complex the character was. Because he's
got a lot of really good reasons to be a huge, scheming, arrogant dick face.
Yes. And he is reasonable. I mean, like, he's taking things too far, but he can be reasoned with, I suppose I should say.
That's actually very interesting, because one of the core themes of the character in the movie is that he can't be reasoned with.
Well,
he sounds reasonable, he uses reasonable language, but ultimately, he never bends once on any of his policy prescriptions or decisions to anyone until physically beaten into submission, and then he only pretended.
And I don't know if that was pretending, or if that was like him saving face after the fact, or what the deal was. Or it could be, because Namor is an anti-hero. Right? In comics, he's not just a villain.
Well, he started as a villain.
Right.
He has evolved into an anti-hero.
Okay. So you want to set those tones, because we're not going to spend 30 years on the Namor movies.
Well, to be clear, that's what I wanted. I wanted him to start as a villain.
Sure.
Because, at least, I might be wrong. If I am wrong, correct me in the comments. I believe he started as a villain. I wanted him to start as... this is a perfect way for him to start. I really like Namor in this movie. I just think it is a vast mischaracterization to call him reasonable.
Well, but I think that's the arc of his character, is becoming reasonable. And I mean, this has probably happened before, but he is perhaps the most noteworthy MCU villain at this point to stand down.
To know when he's beat.
I mean, this is a franchise that has...
traditionally kills its villain.
Yeah, exactly. And it's in great contrast to Killmonger.
Well, I mean, yeah, that was one of Killmonger's defining moments, was that he didn't stand down.
No.
Win, lose, or draw, he was committed to his principles. Namor, not so much. Namor knows when to fight another day, because he's fucking 500 years old, so he's had some time to figure it out.
Spending a little more time with the sea people.
Speaking of, kudos for Marvel to go the extra mile in absolutely fucking dunking on Avatar by making your sea people who ride whales also blue. Like, I know that's not why you did it, but I'm happy that you did it.
Yeah, no, I don't have to watch the Avatar movie.
I wasn't gonna anyway.
That last trailer was decent. It seemed to have a plot.
No.
It seemed to.
That's a mirage.
The previous trailers we had seen were just kind of like, hey, we're blue, and this is my dad, I guess. Now the characters say things, and there's stuff going on. Mind you, I don't care. I want that movie to fail, and it can't succeed, so...
Yay!
Hooray! Nothing personnel, kid. Just sometimes I want to watch the world burn. But I really like that they drew from Mayan lore.
I also like that. Like I said, they had to change stuff about Namor, and this was a really cool way to take it.
Yeah, fantastic. And I have, in the last year, been doing a lot of research on Central and South American traditional myths and legends and stuff. So, like, bonus points for me, getting to see that and going, oh, this represents this, and oh, wow, this is an allusion to that. Like, and the fact that they used Yucatan Mayan as a language was just really phenomenal to me, to be able to hear that spoken in a film after it was thought to be dead for so long.
Because no one went and asked. And then the internet happened, they were like, no, we're here.
Yeah.
Oh.
We have cell phones.
No.
We're a little different now, but, so are you.
We do less horrible shit now.
Yeah.
Not none. Just less.
Yeah. I do want to see the Avatar movie flop, so. But that's about all I have to say about that. It was cool. I'd like to move on to something else I thought was really great in the structure of the film, which is Ironheart.
I Oh man, I hadn't really talked about this because I wanted to save this moment for the podcast.
Yeah.
I don't like Ironheart in the comics. Not that she's
She was not handled well.
She was not handled well, but like a lot of new comics characters stumble. So I was willing to give ground because she was part of like a wave of new comics characters who I thought had a lot of potential. And I love that fucking name. Ironheart is a great name for an Iron Man legacy character. Absolutely A+. I do not like her civilian name. For a lot of reasons. You can probably guess them. I'm not going to get into it.
Much like me, he's really still not over Robin Williams, and it hurts.
It hurts.
Yeah.
But this I loved her in this movie. She was the most relatable character in the movie. She was the funniest character in the movie. M'Baku was the funniest character in the movie. She was second. But she grounded the narrative in a way that I felt was really necessary. Sometimes you have to have someone who can look at all the shit and like the audience go, what the fuck is going on?
Without being a gibbering, goofy sidekick.
Yeah, no, she adjusted to it really well, and I like that.
My chief complaint about the movie was that some of the lines were very banal stock movie dialogue.
I liked those, but he's not wrong.
They weren't bad, and that's like saying, you know...
The best example, the one you gave before, when we talked about this right after watching the movie, was there's a point where something goes wrong with the ship the Wakandans are on, and M'Baku goes, well, that's not good. And that is fucking out of fucking central casting. That is fucking... If you made a random movie dialogue generator AI, it would get better than that in like 2 days.
But the way it was delivered, it was fine. It fit in with what these characters would say. They weren't as bad as the first movie's What Are Those, for example.
I fucking loved that. Like, I know you're mad, but I loved that.
I just feel so... Like, we just come back from this very, important scene with our very reserved Chadwick Boseman and his delivery, and then a weird sandals joke with a timely internet meme.
Ooh, not at all, though.
Well, no, yeah.
Yes.
About as timely as timely comics. How about that?
There you go. But... I think that's one of the reasons this movie felt... And I always knew from the... not before the first trailer, and the first trailer only solidified it, that the emotional reaction I was going to have to this movie was going to dampen my enjoyment of it. And it took me about a day after watching it to really get to enjoy this movie as much as I feel it deserves. But I think part of that is that all of the people who are grieving in this movie do so very earnestly.
I loved that.
I don't cope with sad shit with earnestness. I cope with it with humor, so it felt worse than it otherwise would have.
Yeah, I will get to that in just a second, because there's something I really like about that too. But I do want to talk about Ironheart a little bit more. I loved the very strong parallels cinematographically that they made to Tony Stark.
Yeah, they took specific poses and shots, and they took care to, like, reshoot like an actual, I believe, angle correct shot of her hammering metal. Fuck yes, that is the shit that's what makes movies good.
I love the fact that in the end of Act 1, I believe it would be, when she's going up as high as possible in her weak ass Iron Man suit, and then they bring that back as a plot point later. Not only does it parallel Tony before, but it does it again. This movie bookends so well.
It really does.
I can complain about some odd dialogue choices that perhaps I wouldn't have made, or I would have made different, equally bad ones. But the actual writing, the structure of the storytelling, is just chef's kiss. To what you were saying with the grief, I really like where they took Shuri. She had, and I mean, I know I'm biased here, but a Luke Skywalker-like journey. It's
almost like you like Star Wars. Now I'm doing it.
Luke Skywalker is one of my favorite characters of all time, and I love that she flirts with that darkness so well.
Believably.
Yes.
In Marvel movies, they actually do kind of have a problem portraying someone being genuinely conflicted about doing something actually bad. The good guys. You don't generally see the good guys. They do a not always the best job of making it believable that they're actually gonna do the fucked up thing.
Tony being the exception.
Yeah, Tony, actually that's the exact one I was gonna talk about, was Tony in Civil War and then this. Shuri, although Shuri actually manages to pull back from that edge and not do the fucked up thing, whereas Tony, under the a much less immediate version of the same stimulus, did not. It's a great moment. It's great to see her overcome that because it felt really believable. If they had her do the thing, which is this, it's a big spoiler. It is a central thing for the movie. Even though we're deep in spoiler territory, I almost don't want to say it directly because it deserves to be seen. But if they had her do the thing that the narrative is building up towards her doing, not only would it have been believable, I actually would have been on her side, even if it wasn't necessarily the most correct decision, not the smartest call or the wisest move. It would have been so completely emotionally understandable that I would have been, yeah, of course, yes, that's what you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like that she didn't makes her into an aspirational, heroic figure. It solidifies her place as the Black Panther, and I love that.
I like that three of our principal characters, that being Namor, Shuri, and Queen Ramonda, are so fallible.
They are, and they're all going through essentially the same thing, different
Right.
stages of and reactions to grief.
Right.
The whole movie's about grief,
Right.
and in that grief, their fallibility, it like comes to the fore. They all make decisions which are cruel or unkind or selfish because of grief.
Right. And I think that extends even to the side characters, not the grief, but being in difficult positions where they're not unequivocally right. You get it in Everett Ross, you get it in M'Baku, and a couple of other side characters who, at first glance, are just trying to do the right thing, but like when you take it in a slightly different context, Ross is committing treason.
Directly committing literal get hanged treason.
And M'Baku seems to be a wise voice of wisdom and patience, but he is absolutely also acting in his own self-interest.
And makes no secret of that.
No. He knows you know, and that's fine. And that's great. It's great because I really love what they've done with the White Gorilla character. I love his transition to screen.
M'Baku is one of the best parts of both Black Panther movies. He's fucking great.
Yeah. I don't know. Is there anything else you would like to say about the film?
A couple little things that I really loved. I loved that they show us Ironheart, who, by the way, not a huge fan of Ironheart, but I've looked up her designs. That is like a comics fucking accurate Ironheart that they just put on screen.
Oh, yeah.
Which is super nice.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not a big fan, I'm sure there are people who would be.
I do want to say also, I thought she was going to be younger, and I'm really glad she's not. I find her a much more compelling figure.
I believe she might be in the comics, but I think
she is.
I think
but
college
I
is
thought
better.
in the movie she was supposed to be younger, because every time I'd seen the actress, she was really up. So she seemed like I'm going to be playing a young teenager, and that's not the case.
No, she's playing like a young adult,
yeah.
but an adult. I love that they put that on the screen. They let us have that, but then they didn't just have Wakanda give her her armor. They can't let her leave with the vibranium it's made out of. That's understandable. That's a big plot point in the whole movie. It's one of the central themes, central conflicts of the movie, so it makes sense. Brain? There we go. But they showed us that and then sent her away without it so that we get to watch her make it herself. Like Tony Stark.
Yeah. Or whatever ends up happening. It's hard to say. I'm looking forward to the Ironheart series.
I am too.
Yeah.
I think it'll be really good. I'm more looking forward to it now than I was before because I really like that interpretation.
Having said that, I do want to mention, I think a lot of the MCU series have hit the MCU feeling, but this is the first movie we've seen since Endgame that has managed to
hit it for you.
Yeah, to strike that vibe.
You know what? That's another good parallel to Tony Stark for Ironheart.
What's that?
I don't like him in the comics either. About the movie itself, though, like, if you go in prepared to not have a happy time necessarily, but it's a real good movie.
Yeah, it could be a fantasy story. It's bordering on Game of Thrones, except that there aren't as many conversations in darkened hallways between two bearded men going.
And no tits.
Also, yes, that is true. It's political. It's complicated. It's fantastic. I love how different, and again, how Mayan inspired the underwater city is. It was murky. It looked like it had been underwater. It didn't look like the Aquaman Atlantis,
which is very hyper technicolor candy floss.
Which I don't hate, but I like that they chose to go in a different direction.
I think it's really wise also.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I agree entirely. Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie, and I was wondering if a day later my opinion might not change. For example, the Black Adam review we did that like pretty much just after seeing the movie, and I kind of soured on it a little bit in the absence of the vibe of the movie, and I felt like that was unfair.
You felt like you were too harsh on it.
I was too harsh on it on the podcast, yeah. So I'm glad we waited to record this, but I really haven't changed my opinion at all.
Whereas I have. Like, I kind of figured I would. But, like, I had to let the movie settle before I could enjoy it for all of the good things that happened in it. I'm struggling to think of, like, any... But it feels like I'm not mentioning stuff. Oh! One thing I specifically wanted to mention. Let me look this up because I always get the last name wrong. Angela Bassett?
Oh, yeah.
Gives a performance as good as any I have seen and as good as I hoped it would be when I saw the trailer. Like, that is a powerful performance.
She is and has always been an amazing actress.
Letitia Wright does fucking excellent work, which was in question. But she holds up the central, really, actually very heavy emotional weight of this movie admirably. And again, M'Baku rules.
To fill time, as we need to, we did also recently watch the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. That we don't have a full podcast on.
We have. All right, so yeah, pulling back the curtain, these podcasts, we try and aim for like at least 30 minutes. I could do my thoughts on the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special in the remaining time.
Go for it, Breda.
The Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special is wonderful. It's heartwarming. They feel like the Guardians of the Galaxy again. When James Gunn is at the helm, it's a different vibe and a good one. It has some personal resonance for me, as most Guardians of the Galaxy things do that I don't get into on the podcast.
Just a huge Kevin Bacon fan.
Just humongous. And it doesn't overstay its welcome. It is short and sweet and a good time and not too heavy a meal. Watch it. It's like fucking 40 minutes.
If you like the way they've reinterpreted Mantis like I do, it's good to get to see so much Mantis. I mean, of course, Batista's there too, and that's
Drax is great.
But
as always,
Big
Dave gets what he wants.
He was wearing a shirt in the whole thing, and I was like,
I internally went, oh, good for him.
Well, I didn't until like way after, and I was like, this bothers me because he has sensitive nipples, and this is going against that canon. But then I realized why he's probably wearing it, and I'm like, Davey, eat a sandwich, buddy. Have some bread.
Dave wants bread. Dave gets bread. Good for Drax. He got over his sensitive nipples.
Yeah, maybe he found a cream.
Yeah, it's good for him. I'm happy for Drax, and I'm more happy for Big Dave that Big Dave gets to eat some bread sometimes.
Yeah, that's I'm still kind of in awe. I don't know when I'll want to see this movie again. I think I will someday. It's not like Infinity War where... and I think I'll find even more stuff to really appreciate in the rewatch because there are going to be details that I missed that I didn't pick up on. Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to mention. I was really sad that I wasn't going to get that beautiful delivery of Black Panther, which is...
Honestly, he mentions it so much. Forrest Whitaker's performance in the first movie was one of his favorite things about the first movie. He mentions it so often.
And I don't know, they say Black Panther, like, I want to say... 20 times in this film. It's not as much as you'd think.
No, I think maybe you're underselling it.
Maybe. Anyway, 3 of them were solid Black Panther. And I wasn't expecting it.
The priestesses, the same kind of character, because he was one of the, Forrest Whitaker was a priest. When the priestesses show up and they say it with the traditional pronunciation.
Well, also, I forget which one. Lupita Nyong'o, sorry, dyslexia. She says it also a couple of times.
Good.
And that's it was just really, really fantastic for me. That's Black Panther.
We're not going to do better than that.